Hi there, champions. Coach Tina here. So we are on day 2 of the wisdom portion of my challenge. And as some of you know, I'm doing my challenge in the mornings at 7:30, and I'm also doing, not personally, but listening as a participant to a wisdom challenge by Pedro Adao. And he's bringing in a different speaker every day, and we're covering a different chapter of Proverbs. And so yesterday, easy, chapter 1, I really enjoyed that one. And today he had McCollum, who has a prophetic school. Okay. Well, Dano is how Pedro likes to call him. And I'm going to try to do this justice, you guys. I really recommend that you go and join the challenge with me. I have a link for you if you're interested. Just put it in the chat that you would like to know more about this, because it's really going to be a good challenge, you guys. It's 31 days on this wisdom side. My challenge is 7 days. I want you to be a part of it, but I'm willing to keep going. I'm going to be doing these wisdom videos all month long, and I'm incorporating it into my challenge this first week, but then we're going to see where it goes after that. So in my challenge, we talked about fitness today. And so when I heard the challenge from Pedro at 11, it kind of took me aback because, number one, I was listening to it on our way home from church. So I missed the first few minutes. Then there was people talking in the car and I was trying to stay focused. And then we got home and I was trying to cook lunch for everybody. So I was listening, but I didn't take notes. And it was really impactful. And I thought, I want to go back and I want to listen and I want to apply it to what we learned today about fitness. And so I just listened to it a little bit ago. It was just as impactful the second time. But Dano was explaining how he did a 10-year study. I think he's in it still, right? But he's been doing it for over 10 years of reading a chapter of Proverbs every day. And he was talking about how he uses it for information and inspiration. He reads it to keep the material fresh in his mind, to hear from God, to be receiving, right? And he wants to have the word in him. But he also said that when something leaps out at him, he will then study that. He will go in more depth. He will read word studies and different translations and really try to dig into what God is trying to speak to him. And he said that after he'd been doing this for a while, God really started to speak to him. And one of the things he said, and this is where it's going to be a little bit where you're like, what? And hopefully I will do it justice. But the story he told us was that God said to him one day, I want you to read it like an incantation. And he was taken aback, like, God, what are you talking about, right? Like, Christians don't like magic and incantations, and that's all woo-woo, devil worship kind of talk. And God said, exactly. Why do you give that book so much authority, those types of things? You're afraid of even talking about it because you might bring in evil spirits. He said, but you don't read my book with that kind of appreciation for what it's capable of. He said, what if you read it like a spirit was attached to the word that you were receiving? That it was actually, you were receiving a living, active, powerful word that you expected to cause a transformation, that it empowered your spirit, and that caused you to go with more intention to go after the Lord for what he was able to bring you. I thought that was pretty interesting, right? An invitation and an encounter. He was basically saying that reading Proverbs is an invitation to have an encounter with the author of the book. So, chapter 2, basically the theme of chapter 2 is your heart. And so I got to this and I was like listening to everything and I went, what am I going to talk about? Like, how is this related to fitness? And then they talked about the heart. And I went, oh, well, there you go. The heart is the organ that develops first in us, right? It is the center of our being. It actually it's the information center for our brain. Like we like to think that our brain controls everything. It's actually the heart works harder to get the information circulated around your body than the brain. I don't know where I got that from, but if you need a reference, I can look it back up for you. But when we talk about the heart and we talk about its relation to Proverbs, what Proverbs was saying is that we need to train your heart to listen to the voice of the Father. And then they started talking about some different things. And one of them is that we are only moving as fast as the speed of our obedience. So when your heart is in the right place, when it's doing what it needs to be doing for you, you are able to have a much different response system, right? I think it's like that with our physical body as well. When our heart is in the right place, then we're able to go after those things that are meant to happen. So physically, if you're struggling to stay disciplined, stay on a system that's working for you, to eat the right foods, to exercise when you don't feel like it, those are all disciplines. And when you're obedient to the temple within and what that means to take care of yourself on a health basis, I think it flips the switch to where you're able then to work harder at those goals. When it's not about you, when it's something bigger, something beyond you, you're more likely to keep working at it. I'm going to talk about that more tomorrow in the challenge. We're going to hit the topic of finance, and we'll be covering the 3rd chapter of Proverbs. So I'm excited to share that with you. If you want any more information about the challenge, put that in the comments or message me as well. This will be going into YouTube, and I'll be giving you guys a link to it. If you want to share it with anybody outside, this is part of the participation points that you can get for the prizes in our challenge. I'd love to have you be a recipient of one of the fun things that we're going to do. So looking forward to connecting with you tomorrow, day 3, or if you can't make it on those days, one of the subsequent days through the Friday of this week. Remember, even if you can't make it to the challenges at 7:30 in the morning, there is always the replay available. This week, you can get in and get access to the replays. I'd love to have you be a part of the community, the Empowering Champions community, if you're seeing this from outside of our group, and would love to see you get this information and use it to have a great year for 2022. Take care, and I hope we connect soon.